This is Anatomy of a Fall Part 2,
No,
baby. This
don't
is the sequel.
don't disrespect Anatomy of a Fall. That shit's goated.
3.8 out of 5. Whoa, no!
That just doesn't work for us.
Sound, speeding, camera, rolling. Scene 92. Take 303. Mark.
No half, a no half stars on take 303. No half, a no half, a no half stars on take 303. Alright, no half, a no half, no half stars on take 303.
Welcome to Take 303, powered by 4-Way Media, the podcast with the guy who knows a lot about film.
And his friend.
I'm Nick Molinari.
JP Brooks, talking film and television. Today we're talking about Conclave. I'm not giving you a take.
But I tried.
Yo.
With us today, we have our guest, Eddie.
Well, I'm not a guest at this point. I'm a hostage. Today, I'm a brother in Christ.
But first, in cinematic news. We talked about this in our last episode, but I cut it out. So let's talk about it again. There's a Prince Charming movie coming out, but here's the update. Chris Hemsworth is going to be Prince Charming.
Who the fuck
cares?
Next, Christopher Nolan. A lot of people were talking about his next film. It could be about rival helicopter pilots or a period piece about vampires in the 1920s.
What?
Did he mention the genders at all of the vampires? I'm just curious.
He did not. And then lastly, in cinematic news, the Blade movie with Mahershala Ali has been indefinitely put on pause.
It's on cancel. That's what it is.
No, it says indefinitely delayed.
Nick, listen to me. Listen to me. There's only one Blade. There's only one.
We heard.
He's innocent of this, I think.
We will talk more about Conclave after the break.
Everybody has a vision. Everybody has a dream. Something that needs to be captured on the big screen. We at 4-Way Media love taking your passion projects and bringing them to life, whether you're a passionate artist or a small business owner. With expert videography and photography, we're going to take what you love to do, what you love to make, and transform it into a cinematic experience. 4-Way Media.
And we're back, and we're talking Edward Berger's Conclave, starring Ralph Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow, Sergio Castellito, and Isabella Rossellini.
The Conclave takes the audience and ruins everything. Sorry, I apologize.
Do you want me to do the summary?
No, I got the summary.
Okay.
Conclave follows Cardinal Lawrence, who has been elected the dean for the Conclave being the group of men in the Catholic Church, cardinals who will elect the next pope. After the pope dies, he has been given this task, and we follow him as he reluctantly takes on this task to try to find out who is best to lead the church next and become the next pope. And that is what the movie's about.
And first initial thoughts, I knew nothing about this movie going in until I read something about it right before the movie. So maybe just a little bit. I just read like the basic summary, and I saw the most hysterical review, and now I can share it with you now that you've both seen the movie. Someone said, oh, it's a movie about someone in power that dies, and then there's a secret society trying to figure out who takes his place. And they were like, Nancy Pelosi biopic? Say what? And I was like, that's good. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, I thought it was a really interesting premise. I was worried about this movie. The main worry was it being boring, and it never was. What did you guys think?
A thriller from start to almost the end.
I'm going to be the objective one, apparently. So it was a great movie from start to finish.
Nope, not the finish.
I said objective. I never said if I agreed with the objective.
No, I agree. I agree with you. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
So we only had one other couple in the theater, and then this other couple that came in like 25 minutes into the movie
why did they pick
and sat
you?
directly next to us. Of all the seats to sit next to?
There was nobody else in a row. It's fucking 30 seats long.
Also,
and then they were asking no
Oh my gosh.
Like, bro, you didn't have to move your popcorn.
Yeah,
like, just sit in the next seat. Like, it doesn't matter. And then, Eddie, you didn't even see this one or hear this one. I heard it immediately. but his phone went off as soon as he sat down, and I was like, "That's not the movie."
It sounded like it went with it.
It sounded like it went with it. It really did. It really sounded like part of the soundtrack, which I would say on a sidetrack was booming. It had a lot of bops. But this guy's phone goes off for a good, I'd say, 20 seconds.
Yeah, and Eddie's whispering in a movie theater with 3 other people as loud as I've ever heard him whisper. Like, bro, you can't. It's a movie.
Eddie,
I've yelled
I'm
at
gonna be
people
honest,
for less.
You can't whisper. You literally don't know how to whisper.
It's either I try to whisper or I speak as loud as I can.
What about a movie? Just don't. Just don't do it. I've yelled at everybody in my life. Eddie, I was about to yell at you. I was about to yell at
I
somebody.
think you partially did. Like you were just like, "Can you stop?"
I was about to yell
I think you were like, "Whisper louder." Or whatever.
Ridiculous.
But yeah, so those theater interruptions aside, let's talk about this story. And the story is super interesting. I saw you in the corner of my eye nodding a lot because we've referenced it on the show, but for anyone that's coming in new and fresh while we're 8 episodes away from ending, let's refresh your memories that JP, you've spent some time in the seminary. You are arguably, objectively, the closest to God on this podcast.
Whoa, slow down.
No, like the closest to
knowledgeable.
Strongest in faith, I should say.
Sure.
Amongst the 3 of us, and knowledgeable about faith and the Catholic Church. So I saw you nodding a lot. I think you were probably admiring the authenticity.
Right, now the conclave is super secretive. It is probably the most secretive thing in the lots of secrets in the Catholic Church. This is one of them. How do they elect the Pope? But what I was impressed with is a lot of the things our lead was saying are things that I would hear from really good church leaders. Like the person who's writing this book had to have studied the church, knows the church inside and out, and really is writing great stuff here. Now, as far as the details, like the black smoke, white, all that stuff, how they presented it as someone who has been in seminary and has been to church, stuff like that, that is like a very good... If I can imagine it, that's exactly how I would think it would look like.
So you don't even know specifics of what goes
but
down
the
in there,
details that they got for it is wow, that could be legit.
Because I did as an outsider, I grew up with the Catholic with Catholic school, but as an outsider, I know nothing about the conclave literally until tonight. Yep. I knew of its existence that they do pick the Pope in this secret kind of thing, but outside of that, I really didn't know anything. And seeing just the little things of how they don't touch the paper as it goes in, I was something about that probably has bigger significance of leaving it out of man's hands and stuff like that, and seeing how the nuns are not a part of this whole thing, and there's definitely a patriarchal system set up there, the sealing of the door, all those little things that I was oh, this probably means something, or this is significant, or this is real.
Yeah, again, a lot of that stuff, because that is really that's the super deep secrets of the Catholic Church. Doesn't matter how much you know, unless you're on that other side of it. But I was just very impressed that they got even what he wears for Mass, extremely authentic, extremely authentic. And so everything about it just felt I can never say for certain, nobody can really, how the conclave is done. But if you showed someone that and a regular person, yeah, that kind of makes sense. That was it. I don't think I could have done it better than the way they presented it to make it feel believable. Great job.
Yeah, and it was so thrilling. I was afraid to call it a thriller.
It is.
But it is. It's a dramatic thriller with a really good mystery, and it really does play out like a novel. I didn't pick up on that it was adapted from a book. Eddie said that early on. I think you knew ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I went to... I'm your Reddit go-to guy, and I wanted to see... It got a 92 out of 100 in the Rotten Tomatoes, and it's a very early, heavy Oscar favorite amongst Reddit people. Ralph Fiennes, they're electing already as a... they want to nominate him as Best Actor.
This is his Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I
don't
try
think
to...
he's gonna win it. I just think though they're saying that this movie solidifies him as one of the greatest actors of our generation.
I mean, he's been putting in the work.
Mm-hmm.
I say that because I just watched Am I Racist again this morning, and it's in my head.
I thought you say I watched The Menu, which is great in as well.
I mean, it's really good, yeah. But I kind of stray away from reviews ahead of our podcasting. If anything, like I try to look at maybe just the general cast just to like prep myself pre-podcast. Today I slipped up and I did see the summary of it, and because of that I did see the rating on Letterboxd, and I saw it was ridiculously high, and I was like let's fucking go. I was like
I just saw the trailer. I didn't even. You know what?
The trailer's really good.
I'm on the greatest streak of all time.
Yeah, you've been pulling
Well,
W's.
this is also why I saw,
for a while.
This is why I saw the review, because I'm like, look, I really don't want. Because I was debating.
You've been on a
whether
streak
I
since
should
till the ending.
Whether I should be bringing more beer inside this fucking theater, because I'm like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not gonna do this sober. And then everyone was saying like, no, this is an excellent movie, and I'm just like, you know what? All right then.
For reference, just to clue you guys in, this was a last minute decision. Literally a few hours ago, we were on the phone and we were like, Venom or Conclave, which is honestly the most ridiculous possible conversation you could have.
Sophie's choice.
Two completely different movies on two different spectrums, and I was just like, I don't want to see Venom 3 because
At
I
two
was
different
like,
price points.
yes,
too.
at two very different price points, but different locations. There was a lot of math to this, but at the core of it, it was like, look, I saw Venom 1, I was like, I liked it. I know a lot of people had issues with it. I thought it was a fun movie. It was a fun movie. Is it an Oscar movie? No. Venom 2, I saw it. Could I repeat anything I've seen from that movie? Absolutely not.
I still liked it.
I know Woody Harrelson is in it.
It's a 4-3 for me for the Venom. 4, then a 3.
So seeing Venom 3 really would have been a crapshoot at this point, and I was like, Conclave seems interesting, and I was like, let's just take a shot. And with your background, I was like, you know, this could be interesting. We could have some good conversations. Then we got to the ending, and then we thought differently. But before we get to that, cinematography, I was having a really good time with this movie. There wasn't a crane shot. There were some nice overheads, but I think some of the lighting, the colors in this movie, oof. The first shot in the blue room, I can't even tell you how good that scene made me feel. I was screaming.
What did you think of the way they used the cardinal red color throughout the entire movie?
I loved it. I thought it was really good. Very powerful colors. We actually we were just rewatching The Godfather. My dad, Liz, and I, and we saw all the alternative posters in the Nighthawk, and ironically, right outside the showing of this. But yeah, so when I was watching this, I felt it was very much like in the shadows, which made sense because Liz was saying like, "Oh, The Godfather was filmed so dark. Like, why are they always in the dark?" And I was like, not to be that guy right now. Like, I felt like I was doing your voice. I was like, well, you know, they're in the shadows.
The darkness represents the sadness.
And they're like like the duality of man and this and that. Like, so I felt it. And when I was looking at this movie, just looking at the popping out of the color, like they're all in unison. They're wearing the same outfits. They're in the secret, sequestered area, in a lot of bright also backgrounds. It was really good. And you got a one location movie.
Love me a one location movie. Big points.
Yeah, what did you guys think about either the cinematography, the editing, things that stuck out to you?
The music was really good.
Oh yeah, that theme song.
It's subtle. Well, no, I think they used the theme song in like different like octanes. But I think overall, just the tone of it, like it set the tone generally really well. Like it's like, oh damn.
You only have one location, and the difficulty of one location, if I may speak, is making it look different, pizzazz in the screen up so you're not bored. And the thing, I guess I wouldn't have said colors, but you're right. The way they use the colors, the different angles on the shots. I mean, them all walking with umbrellas, freaking awesome.
I did love a lot of like the swooping shots. I don't know if you noticed, there were scenes where the camera would like go around the characters or would pull back and let them really explore their surroundings. One of the weirdest cuts I think in the movie was when Ralph Fiennes is crying. He's like crying hysterically, and it cuts to a shot of from behind him, And I was like, that's a weird cut. I was like, I really want to see what he looks like right now. But I was like, they probably did it because like he's gonna move around and do something that's important. And that's exactly what he did. He started reaching around and he sees the little hidden compartment. I'm like, oh, you know. So yeah, a lot of deliberate filmmaking here. This is cinema up until about the last 5 minutes. But performances, obviously Ralph Fiennes is killing it in this movie.
Disgustingly good. Disgusting.
Absolutely just running circles around everybody.
Master class of what fucking film should be in general. Like, goddamn, like for all the films.
See this?
That's a little ironic.
This level right now that you're at?
Yeah.
That's your theater voice.
That's
That's where you should be at.
Yeah, it's just everything he's doing is so perfectly in tune to what the character's feeling.
The eye movements, the ability to just tear up and cry. Like, I felt it.
Yeah, this is a man who does not want to be doing the job he's doing, yet he still is faithful to his job, and he's just the reluctant sort of leader and just doing what he has to do. You feel like, at some point, you feel like he's just like a factory worker just trying to get through the end of the day.
Like, I looked over, I was like, worst week ever.
Worst
like,
week
for this
ever.
guy.
Well, not just him, but I think like Stanley Tucci was also like the
Oh, yeah,
way
I don't
he-
think there's a bad one in the bunch.
Like I think everyone like in general, I'm saying like for all the reviews we've made, right? Like I think in general this cast,
It's a good
alone,
ensemble.
It just kills any other like thing we've seen. And then, again, I think Long Legs was an excellent movie. We have Dune, and you're saying that Dune is up. Like no, this cast in general.
Yeah, Eddie was like, oh, there hasn't been an Oscar-worthy movie yet. I was like, have you forgotten Dune Part 2? I was like...
This is, but honestly, the performance is like no
in
offense.
this, yeah, but
Like no offense to Doom, right? But this is how the cinema, like when we think of snobby shit, this is gonna come up because this is the perfect like goddamn like
ironic.
Yeah, ironic, but it's like this is what we've been missing. Like this is like you said, this is the beginning of Oscar season. We're gonna be seeing a lot of this, but like in general, I think
Told you, Juror 2.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
Clint Eastwood has a new movie coming out next week. I've been roasting him about
I
it.
think the reason we're talking about the act so much is because this is a character movie. It's about our characters and how they're reacting to situations. Doing all these other movies, there's lots of big things, cool guns. This movie is literally just people talking.
Yeah,
in
Dune.
the same way that Anatomy of a Fall is just people
I was gonna
talking.
say this is the best movie since Anatomy of a Fall. Like I could say that
Yeah,
hands down.
Dune is very much about a story.
Yeah.
Where this is about characters living a story.
Yeah.
Like, this is a performance piece. I could definitely see this being... I don't want to like stomp on it and jinx it, but I could see this being turned into a play. Like, it definitely has all those vibes of it. And then just seeing it play out, like every single cardinal in this movie stands out. Like, all of them
And they're all dressed the same.
Yeah, they're all dressed the same, but you can tell who is who. Even when we were talking about this in the car, Eddie was referring to the cardinals by character name. And usually we don't do that. At least our group, we always refer to them by actors. If we're referring to them by characters, either we don't know the actor or that's how good the performance was. We just forgot, and we were like he was like, "Oh, are you talking?" Because I said as soon as I saw John Lithgow like appear, I didn't know he was in the movie. As soon as I saw him appear, I was like, "I think he did it." I was like, I don't know what he did, but I was like, I think he did it.
Treble,
like,
right? Tremblay?
Yeah.
So that's exactly what he goes. He's like, is that Tedesco? And I was like, no, Tremblay. And I was like I'm thinking still actors, but he's like in it. He's like talking about the characters.
And these are very traditional, like, very difficult names, as is typical of cardinals and bishops. Like, they're very. It's just. There's no like Pope Richard, like Cardinal Richard. They don't exist. But Bellini and Tedesco and all these guys.
I like that this movie kept, like, how it was Spanish, Italian, Latin. Like, it kept no like just English. Like, I know when they
That's how real church meetings are.
Well, no. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like
when they're in the cafeteria and stuff like that.
Like, yeah, they kept the language straight. Like, we have to read the captions because another good one was it what was the nuclear show, the one in Russia, because they had to translate
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl, where they said, "Oh, we kept it in English to make it easier for the viewer," and I'm like, like I know, like Nick doesn't like anime because it's like I want to read I don't like reading captions, but I like that this movie stuck with its guns. Like it's like no, you're gonna see it in its natural language, and every actor like you saw it, whether it be and even Ralph Fiennes speaking Italian and Latin, you're like, yes, this is what I want. I want them to speak just naturally, like because this is the fucking the Roman the Catholic Church where it's very diverse, very secretive, and every language, every culture is like fucking out there vying for power, and it's fucking great.
Well, at the beginning, I also mentioned the director, Edward Berger. If it sounded familiar, that's All Quiet on the Western Front, the new one that we watched last year. So that one was in full German. So it makes sense that this is a director that is very that puts an importance on language.
I just like me a guy who doesn't like, or just in general, any person who like is like, no, we're not gonna just
Water it
the
down.
viewer, it needs to be easy. No, like stop treating us as idiots. We can read. Just give us. Joe was like,
You wish he didn't read the last 5 minutes of the movie.
But I think that's an excellent. Like he didn't water anything down. Like everything was really like well done.
Favorite scenes.
I like the little. I can't really the little like jokes. It's not really jokes, right? It's like
I did like the comic relief.
Like it was. I don't know if it was really comic relief, but more like.
There was one scene of comic relief, which is my favorite scene, which is when he exposes John Lithgow's character.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think that's comic relief, but because of like, I think it was just so much tension, and then
It's
like,
uncomfortable, yeah.
And then like once it's released, the only response is to laugh because you're like, that's fucking hilarious. But I think just in general, just a little like the way Ralph Fiennes just like his little explosions, like it reminded me when he was at the Grand Budapest Hotel, like how he's a straight man and then like the guy fucks up and goes, "No, you idiot!" It's like, compose. Okay, no, don't do that. Like those little outbursts, like Ralph Fiennes is excellent at it. Like he's just really good at those.
My favorite scene in the movie, without a doubt, has to be the opening montage of all the Cardinals getting together. And they show a shot of like 30 to 40 cigarette butts on the floor.
I did see you say like, ha!
Yeah. Showing the Cardinal vaping, showing one on his phone. And it's just a good reminder. Like, it is a really good reminder for the audience. For me, it's different. For me, yeah, they are just regular people at the end of the day. Like, and that's the thing I think a lot of people forget. And even like this movie, I really made it because I really don't know what to do with the last 5 minutes of this movie. That's why I'm frustrated. It's because this is a perfect movie right until then because everything makes sense, payoff, build up, it's all there. But that being said, they do an excellent job in this movie of establishing that these men, no matter what you can say about them, they are human, mortal men, and they tell you that. The theme of this movie is that no man is perfect. As one of the guys say when they're in the stairwell, we are mortal men trying to live up to an ideal. We're sinful men. And like that's what the movie's all about. Because in reality, what a ridiculous task it is to pick a leader of one of the world's largest religions who's supposed to be the closest person to God. But they're meant like it's in today's world. I mean, who's perfect, right?
Yeah, no one. And
it's kind of ironic you say that when exactly 9 days or 10 days away we have to elect the leader.
There were a lot of parallels to the presidential
it's an election.
Yeah.
It's a movie about an election before election day. If you want to look at it, but
yeah.
I think the movie does a fantastic job of establishing that these are guys. This is it's their job. It's also their life. But like, and for me, it's just like a really good reminder. That's what it reminded me of my time in seminary. It reminded me of my time really close inside the church. It's like, man, this is really accurate.
There was, you reminded me, there was one line, I can't remember the specifics of how he said it, but it just was like such a good line at the very beginning, and it was like, unity,
ambition,
uncertainty.
No, certainty.
Certainty
is the depth
like,
of unity.
Yeah, I love that line.
That was a great line.
It was such a good monologue.
I think this movie, like every now and then, like, I love. So again, you grew up in the seminary. I was a political science, like, and law. So I like love, like, political thrillers in general. Like there's and even comedy. The last good one was you guys seen Death of Stalin?
No.
Mm-mm.
So if this is a very dramatic take of a election, I think that the Stalin is a very comedic take of the communist way they did about it. Perfect political thriller is all about the characters. It isn't about like the nonsense around it, but the characters themselves. Like that the Stalin, Steve Buscemi, knocks it out the park. Like he's fucking amazing. But then the ensemble itself is also out of like Jesus fucking Christ. And this
Ironic.
like Conclave.
We really gotta stop you on these.
The Lord's Name in Vain stuff.
Yeah, on a religious movie, no less. Let's bring it back to topic though. Let's talk about
The only last thing I want to say about the movie is though the liberal and conservative side of the church they've presented it very one dimensional, but I just like that they in some way encapsulated that there are people in the church who disagree about what the church should do. So a lot of the stuff, man, were they so freaking accurate, or like even if it like none of it I can confirm if that's how they do the conclave, but man, if you're from it, is so believable.
Well, let's talk
Right
about it
until
just
the
a
end.
little bit more. Tell me what didn't work for you in this movie.
Here we go, Joe. Wait. Breathe it out, Joe. Here we go.
So at the end of this movie,
As if we haven't said it enough, and at this point, spoilers.
at the end of this movie, it is revealed after the 2-hour drama that was electing the Pope, they finally picked someone to be the freaking Pope, and everyone's like, you can feel it. It's a dub in the bank for our boy Lawrence.
Well,
Life is great.
before you go on, right? I thought they were gonna end, to be honest with you, with just
Him elected.
that's it.
That's what it should have been.
I thought. I'm like,
No, but
That's
you jinxed it. You called it. You were like, "There's something wrong with him." You were like, he did something.
And there's always been, like, it throughout the whole movie, and I'm like, maybe they'll just let it go.
well, I thought he murdered someone, or he had HIV. I thought he was in some.
I thought he had AIDS too.
I thought he's like, oh yeah, you're gonna have to do this again in like a month from now, like and then you're gonna be like, bruh.
Conclave 2.
And instead, it is revealed that the new Pope is.
Wait. Let's say it the way that we heard it, because that will go down as one of my favorite theater experiences this year. Is that they say that this character had a laparoscopic hysterectomy,
Yeah.
and Eddie just
I
looks
don't know
over
what
to
that
me,
is.
and he goes, "What the hell is that?" And I had to explain it to him, and it was just so great because he looked at me with complete innocence. He was like, "The fuck?" I think
but even TV has said it. Like I don't.
But like
The
the way you said it,
Yeah.
it was like you thought that the movie was just gonna end there, and they
Yeah.
would never tell you what it is.
I would have been fine with that to like the Anatomy of a Fall, and then just like, and then maybe just him just looking up like. Fuck.
Or actually, you know what would have been a really good ending before we really get into this? I'm delaying that. If he was like, "What's wrong with you?" and then it like you saw them talking, but you couldn't hear them, that would have been nice.
Well, no, what I'm saying, but do that, and then just him look up, look at the camera, and just.
He doesn't have to look at the camera, but yeah. But Joe,
Here we go.
So it is revealed, if you haven't figured it out at this point, if you're like Eddie, it's okay, you can be like Eddie. It's revealed that this person is an intersex person. They have both, as far as I understood, male and female parts. And the person was supposed to go get them removed, the female parts, and instead decided to not do it. And the Pope made them secretly a cardinal in private, in pectore. And so then this information is not revealed until the very, very end of the movie after they've been elected, literally 5 minutes after the fact. And what is really crazy about this movie is how do you take the ending? And I think that's what's most frustrating me about this. If the movie doesn't have... All right, so you can... The easy way to interpret this is if you are a Catholic or if you are someone who whatever. If you need to interpret this, oh man, this is just another sabotage. Like they're just talking down to the Catholic Church. They're saying it's lagging behind. You got to be progressive. I don't think that's what the movies say. I think it's just a movie. It has a story.
It was saying that at one point, but not at the ending. It was during the argument when they're complaining about different religions.
Which is two real sides.
From the terrorist attack. Yeah.
Right. And there are two real sides. Like, there are plenty of discussions and issues that I don't think the movie was trying to say one is right or wrong. They make Tedesco feel like the villain at times. I think so. Mm-hmm. Which I don't think you should be giving a message or putting that out there. I think they presented it as fairly as they could, but I think they could have done a little bit better job. Because what I liked is, with Bellini's character, who is the more progressive side, even he comes out to be not such a guy that you like, motivated. So even amongst all that, I think they did a great job. But at the end, so one way you can interpret it is they're trying to make a political statement. They're trying to tell the reader or the viewer something. I don't take it as that. The problem I have with the ending is this movie didn't need it. It was so good. Like, you're waiting for that sucker punch, and the sucker punch feels unwarranted, and it feels unearned. Because the movie is about Lawrence, and about his wisdom and his guidance throughout the whole thing. And no offense, if you're the dean and you didn't know that, you fucked up. You're not a winner.
But he underestimated, maybe, like, Benitez's influence, like the way he was going about it, right?
No cardinal had ever met him up to this point.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, so I think that no.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I think
He put on his cop voice.
No. What I'm saying is, I think that's key here. Is that in the story, he knows about everybody, right? He knows that all these guys are like fucking sneaks, but he knows nothing. No one knows anything about this cardinal. So how can he really judge? Like, and he's in the conclave, and I'm assuming if we're going by the rules of the film, he's not allowed to investigate. He's not allowed to do anything.
But he investigates a little bit.
Well, yeah, but I think he investigates on what he knows. He knows that Tremblay is
no new information.
Yeah, like he investigated. He already knew, like, coming in. Okay, Tremblay is a fucking snake. Yemi, he from sleeping, he knows, like, okay, like he already had a feeling because they working together. Oh, he's a snake, and they all know that Tedesco is an asshole. The major unknown here, I told Nick that I think they were all going to eliminate each other just because, like, they're idiots.
I mean, you were pulling for your Paisan from the moment.
I also was pulling for the Modelo.
From the moment you heard that he was a Mexican.
I thought it was a murder. I didn't think it was a...
90% of the movie is so accurate, so grounded in reality, and to have this curveball at the end, it just takes you out of the moment and takes you to another place where this is a completely different thing, unnecessary to the story, but also just in general, it was like, it just adds so much more that people who are like invested in this religion are going to be immediately pulled out because they're just like, this wouldn't happen.
Put on, like, the channel, like, Spanish news. Every time the Pope says something, like, it depends on what he supports, right? If it's, like, basic, but if it's, like, But I think he said something, like, the other day, he said something for, like, trans right, and there was, like, a little bit of pushback from the Hispanic community because they're like, bruh, we don't, like, baby steps.
How do you say bruh in Spanish?
Bro.
Padre.
So anyway, Nick, as you were saying.
But what I'm saying,
yeah.
It's so grounded in reality that when you add on this part, it doesn't make sense. Ralph Fiennes says, like, oh, I want to be named John. I was like, this can't be about John Paul. And then when the Mexican guy